Prudence jumped into the conversation and said, "I have a few questions I'd like you to answer. First, do you sometimes think of the country from which you came?" "Yes," he let out a sigh, "but not with fondness. I think of where I came from with much shame and loathing. And the truth be told, if I had yearned for that country, I might have taken opportunity to return there by now. Instead, my heart desires a better country, that is, a heavenly one." And indeed, if they had been thinking of that country from which they went out, they would have had opportunity to return. But as it is, they desire a better country, that is, a heavenly one. Therefore God is not ashamed to be called their God, for he has prepared a city for them. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 15 to 16. Prudence took in a deep breath and let it out slowly. "Don't you carry some memories of the things you did there and the people you talked to?" "Yes, I do, but greatly against my will, especially deep inside my carnal thoughts and reasoning. You see, all my countrymen as well as myself delighted in debating about such things, but now all those things only grieve me. If I could control my thoughts, I would choose never to think of those carnal things ever again. But even if I was able to do that which is best, that which is worst would still live within me. For what I am doing I do not understand. For I am not practicing what I would like to do, but I am doing the very thing I hate. I find then the principle that evil is present in me, the one who wants to do good. Romans chapter 7, verses 15 to 21. Prudence tilted her head slightly to the side. "Did you sometimes think that those things related to personal carnality were overcome, yet at other times were cause for great puzzlement and confusion?" "Sure. But those times of victory over carnality happened infrequently. However, when they did happen, it was truly golden. When you experienced such precious times in overcoming carnal annoyances, can you remember how you obtained these victories?" "Yes, there are several means. For instance, when I think and meditate on what I saw at the cross, that will do it. And when I look at my embroidered coat, that will do it. Plus, when I read and study the scroll I carry in my pocket next to my heart, that will do it. When my thoughts are warmly stimulated about where I am going, that will do it." Prudence pressed him further. "And what is it that makes you so desirous to go to Mount Zion?" Christian's eyes grew wide and dreamy. "Why, I hope to see him alive who hung dead on the cross, and there I hope to be rid of all those things that remain as an annoyance to me. There at the celestial city they say there is no death, and he will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and there will no longer be any death. There will no longer be any mourning or crying or pain. The first things have passed away. Revelation chapter 21, verse 4. And there I shall dwell with such companions as I like best. For to tell you the truth, I love him because he released me from my burden, and I am weary of my inward sickness. In view of this, I prefer to be where I shall die no more, and in the company of others who shall continually cry, 'Holy, holy, holy.'" Charity glanced around and looked back at Christian. "Why didn't you bring them along with you?" He hung his head and wept. "Oh, how willingly would I have brought them! I have a wife and children and neighbors, but all of them were utterly against my going on pilgrimage." Charity pursed her lips. "But you should have talked to them and should have attempted to show them the danger of staying behind." Christian gestured with his palms up as he shrugged. "I did." He let his arms drop. "I also told them what God had shown to me about the destruction of our city, but they looked at me like one telling a joke, and they didn't believe me. Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-law, who were to marry his daughters, and said, "Up, get out of this place, for the Lord will destroy the city." But he appeared to his sons-in-law to be jesting. Genesis chapter 19, verse 14. "And did you pray to God that he would bless them with understanding of your warning to them?" "Oh, yes," he nodded fervently. "I prayed with much love. You must know that my wife and poor children were very dear to me." "But did you tell them of your own sorrow and fear of destruction?" "I expect that the prospect of destruction was clear enough to you." Christian ran his fingers through his hair. "I did, again and again and again. They could also see my fears were very real by my expression, by my tears, and also in the way I trembled under the anxiety of the judgment that hung over our heads. But even all this wasn't enough to get them to come with me." "But why on earth wouldn't they come? What did they have to say for themselves for why they would not come?" Christian wiped his hand across his face and looked at the ground. "Well, for one thing, my wife was afraid of losing what she has in this world. And my children?" He looked up at Charity. "Well, they were absorbed with the foolish pleasures of youth. So because of these types of things and other distractions, they left me to wander in this distressed frame of mind alone." The young woman's face grew more serious. "So with all your efforts to persuade your loved ones to depart from the city of destruction and come with you, did your futile, empty manner of life discourage them from acting on your advice?" Christian's lips drew into a grimace. "I admit I cannot commend my life. I am well aware of my many failings. I also know that a man, by the way he lives his life, can quickly invalidate whatever arguments or advice he presents to others for their own good. Yet this I can say: I was very careful to avoid behavior on my part that would be considered disgraceful. I hope to avoid giving them any excuse that would turn them against the idea of going on this pilgrimage. In fact, for this very behavior they criticized me, saying I was too strict and that I denied myself things for their sakes, in which they saw no evil. I can honestly say that if what they saw in me hindered them, it was my own great kind-heartedness in being careful not to sin against God or of doing any wrong to my neighbor." Charity's head bobbed slightly in understanding. "Even as you say, Cain hated his brother because his deeds were evil and his brothers were righteous." 1 John chapter 3, verse 12. "And if your wife and children have been offended at you for this reason, they show themselves to be unyielding toward what is good. You have delivered your soul from accountability for their blood. Yet, if you have warned the wicked, and he does not turn from his wickedness or from his wicked way, he shall die in his iniquity, but you have delivered yourself." Ezekiel chapter 3, verse 19.